7, Stephen A. joins the show with his take on Kawhi's first trip back to Toronto tonight, plus how the Patriots are handling the NFL investigation distractions, and which NFL head coaches are on the hot seat.
Mediocre team and Big D. That's what makes this funny. How about the Cowboys? How about the Cowboys on way? Somehow, when they count, just wait. They will let you down. The accident, they will mess it up. Just wait. The accident, they will let you down. Just wait. The accident, the accident, the accident, waiting to happen. It will happen. I'm predicting they're gonna be irrelevant. I'm predicting an absolute embarrassment for the last decade and a half. They make me laugh. All the talent that they have is unbelievable, man. Big D, teasing you. This is what they do. Walking through, we show up on cue. Accident, something will go wrong. The accident of the big Jumbotron. Accident, gotta recognize it's a black cat running around that franchise. Say it with accident, they will mess it up. Just wait. The accident, they will let you down. Just wait. The accident, the accident, the accident, waiting to happen. It will happen. How about the Cowboys?
Welcome back to First Take. We're coming to you live from above the Heineken River Deck at Pier 17. The Cowboys, yet again, are giving Stephen A. the gift of joy this holiday season. The team has lost 3 straight to put them at 6-7, and they'll host the Rams this Sunday. Now, in an interview on Tuesday on 13:10 a.m., The Ticket, Troy Aikman was asked about the idea of joining the Cowboys front office. His answer, interesting. Quote, I doubt it. I mean, I think it's a real long shot. I believe that it's unlikely that Jerry will ever bring in somebody that can help this football team in that regard, just because he's been real stubborn and steadfast and that he's the one in charge. I think in a lot of ways, until that changes, this team's going to have some problems. On that note, let's bring in our guy, former Cowboy, Marcus Spears. Hi, Marcus.
What's up? I can't, first of all, a montage to say accident waiting to happen. I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing? Is your hate that much for the Cowboys that you making music videos now?
Excuse me. That's been going on for a long time. The answer to that question is yes, emphatically. And number 3, and more importantly, stand your ground, big boy.
First of all,
you on this show, you will humble yourself.
First of all,
as a former Cowboy,
what the hell is that open collar? You trying to promote sexy at 50?
No, I'm trying to be a member of the Chippendales Club, like Louis Riddick and Greedy and the whole crew. That's what I'm trying to become a part of that. That's what that was about. I'm bringing my own Chippendales flavor to the mix. That's all.
Max, don't you do that, Max. Don't you do that.
I just put on a shirt.
You should see the pants Max got on today, bro.
Well,
Lord have mercy.
Well, it was snowing
MC Hammer, how you doing?
I may have had too much to eat Thanksgiving.
Let's go. All right.
My goodness. All right, fashion police, we good? Okay, Stephen A., why is Aikman speaking out now?
First of all, I'm not the fashion police because I didn't mention anything about you today. Watch yourself now, okay? Even though that's looking kind of fly because you always look fly. But my point, let me get that to the nitty-gritty here. When I saw Troy Aikman say what he said, the thought that come to my mind is yet another person trying to deflect attention away from Jason Garrett. That's what I thought. He's focusing on Jerry, what Jerry has been inefficient at, the same old song and dance we've said about Jerry. This is not new. We all know what we feel about Jerry Jones. We all know that, he's in the news a little bit too much. He's talking to the media after every game. The relationship with Jimmy Johnson that went sour. And even though you won a title with Barry Switzer, how you've struggled ever since. Bill Parcells didn't work out, others didn't work out, et cetera, et cetera. We all get that. Why Troy Aikman is on TV every week during the football season. He is the A-team for Fox with the great, phenomenal Joe Buck. And Troy Aikman is phenomenal at that too, by the way, okay? They're the A-team. This man has been doing this for over a decade. And I would challenge anybody to tell me they have heard more from Troy Aikman about Jerry Jones than he has spoken in the last week. Why? And I'm going to say that it's because Jason Garrett is an incredibly likable guy. And you have a whole bunch of people out there because of their personal affinity and affection for him that feel the need to highlight all the transgressions or inefficiencies of other people to deflect attention away from him. I'm not saying that Troy Aikman is trying to throw Jerry Jones under the bus or anything like that. Troy Aikman, I don't think he has that kind of character. But I do believe he has the kind of character that can look at a guy objectively, know there are question marks like a Jason Garrett, but still have an incredible affection for him and try to sort of share the blame to some degree so the whole shrapnel of vitriol doesn't come down on Jason Garrett. I think that's what we're hearing here, Max.
It's a very interesting question to me because the question is not why is Aikman saying this. The question is why is Aikman saying this now? 23 years since the Super Bowl. He was the last
24, sir.
24. He was the last Super Bowl winning quarterback. He was the quarterback of that dynasty, without which, by the way, the Cowboys wouldn't even be in the discussion for the greatest of all franchises, right? Like, they would. That's where that 3 championships took place right there. It's most of their championships. Why now? I don't think it's Garrett, Stephen A. I think you're on to something. The issue here is there will be change in Dallas coming up, right? So maybe that's the catalyst for him talking about it now, but I don't think it's Garrett. This is just a theory. I don't know. I haven't spoken to anyone about it. But Troy Aikman wants to be a GM, right? And it ain't going to be for the Dallas Cowboys. And he's hurt. It's a kind of a preemptive strike against that rejection because Dallas ain't looking for a GM because Jerry Jones and now Stephen Jones, who's a better GM than Jerry, are running that team. And so Aikman knows it's not going to be a job, which I'm sure he actually does want. That's not going to be his job. And so the cuffs are off. Like, okay, you want to know why I'm not going to be the GM in Dallas? Same reason Dallas can't win. I don't think it's protecting Jason Garrett. If anything, it's an indictment on Garrett. You can't do the things you need to do in Dallas because Jerry Jones is in the way. And right now, I think Aikman probably believes he's in his way.
Okay. First of all, this has nothing to do with Jason Garrett Troy Aikman wanting to be a GM. Number one. Like, where in the hell does that even come from? The man was asked, would you think about or consider going be in the front office for the Cowboys? Everybody knows what Troy Aikman said is what the sentiment has been for years. And as much, Stephen A., I hear you about Jason Garrett, but can we please stop with the Jason Garrett thing? You have said on your show a number of times. Max has said on his show a number of times and talked about the fact that Jerry Jones doesn't want to fire Jason Garrett because of a relationship. That's the issue. We are not talking about anything new. What's the problem with the Dallas Cowboys now? The problem with the Dallas Cowboys now is that Jerry Jones has held on to Jason Garrett too long. It's just like saying, well, as a parent in the house, if your kid keep doing something and you don't get rid of them, it's the kid's fault. Or you don't chastise them, it's the kid's fault. At some point, you got to look at the parent and ask yourself, why does this keep happening? Have you talked to your child about why they're doing this? Have you looked them in the eye and told them what the expectation is? And if they don't meet that expectation, there would be discipline. Troy Aikman ain't trying to be the GM. Troy Aikman up there making $5-6 million a year. Like you said, Stephen A., on the number 1 team for Fox, calling games. He seems to be happy to me. He seems not to have a lot of stress. And we're going to sit here and talk about he's trying to find his way into being a GM. Troy Aikman don't give a damn about that. Troy Aikman talking about what everybody's been talking about with the Cowboys for years. Jerry Jones undermined Wade Phillips with Jason Garrett. He undermined Bill Parcells with bringing in T.O., which I think was a great decision, by the way, by Jerry Jones, because T.O. ended up balling out and doing a tremendous job on the team. But this has always been about Jerry Jones, the Cowboys' deficiencies and where they lack. Now,
stop right there. Stop, Marcus. Hold on. Listen to what I'm saying to you. I'm not going to stop about Jason Garrett. And the reason why I'm not going to stop is this reason. We know he has to go. You've declared that. We damn sure know I have. And I think that Troy Aikman, the fact that he has spoken so much about Jerry Jones over the last 2 weeks, I'm making the argument that Troy Aikman has spoken more about Jerry Jones in the last 2 weeks since the New England loss, where Jerry Jones and the Cowboys lost to New England, and Jerry Jones has been going over about Jason Garrett ever since. I'm making the argument that Troy Aikman has spoken more about Jerry Jones in that span than he might have spoken about Jerry Jones in the last decade.
What's new? Hold on, Marcus.
Saying.
What's new? That's what the question is. Like, why now?
Why now is because of what we're watching happen this season. Like, you got to understand the difficult position. You nor I nor Stephen A. Max calls games in the NFL. It doesn't behoove you to talk about a coach getting fired when you got to go sit in meetings and get information and talk about these guys during games. But when he was asked the question about would he want to work in the front office, this all comes back to everything all of us have been talking about. The fact that Jerry Jones will not relinquish power.
Wait, right there. Hold on. As Stephen A. would say, wait right there. That's where your argument doesn't make sense to me. There's a leap you just took. I understand not wanting to just offer up opinions when you got to sit in meetings with people because you're covering the league. It's not the forum to talk about that. You're calling games.
Correct.
But when someone asks you a pointed question, you don't have to unload on your former boss.
I know, but let me respond to you by saying this. Are we not all operating from the standpoint that Jason Garrett will be fired?
Yep.
Yes.
And we're all operating from the standpoint that this is technically code red for the Dallas Cowboys.
Correct.
Right.
And we are all operating that Jerry Jones should have gotten rid of Jason Garrett a while ago, right?
Yep.
So at this point, that's just like when we had the conversation about the other coaches in that facility right now not being all in because they are probably looking for jobs knowing what's coming down.
But Marcus, I got a question for you personally because you would know this better than most.
Right.
Was there not a code red kind of situation in 2013 when that was the third consecutive year that Jason Garrett had finished 8-8 and had lost the season finale with a division title on the line?
And Stephen A.
Troy Aikman wasn't talking about this then?
I will rebuttal you with this.
Not that I can recall.
They gave him a new contract after that.
Right.
They gave Jason Garrett a new contract. So no, this is what I believe. Now, we all are giving an opinion about this Troy Aikman situation.
Sure.
What I believe now is that the writing has been on the wall for Jason Garrett. All right? Troy Aikman is not going to have to deal with Jason Garrett anymore when he does meetings for the Dallas Cowboys. And also, Troy has identified now that, you know what, we can point the finger at Jason Garrett, obviously because of the record and how this team has performed. That is on the field. But Troy Aikman is not saying anything new, is my point. It's not like Troy Aikman went off on a leash and said...
But I'm not accusing him of saying something new. What I'm simply saying is that he's more loquacious than usual about Jerry Jones. And not only that, and in fairness to Troy Aikman, because I love Troy Aikman, I think he does a great job. In fairness to him, Bill Cowher he raised my antennas as well. You're on a post-game, Max, Molly, Marcus. I'm talking about after Dallas folded against Buffalo. And Bill Cowher, the great Bill Cowher, we know how I appreciate Bill Cowher, a Super Bowl champion for the Steelers. He's sitting up there giving some motivational speech to Jason Garrett. Now, I know that's the coaching fraternity and all that, but I'm like, wait a minute, damn it. There's a whole bunch of coordinators out there that have been starving for an opportunity. Bill Cowher could not have done what Jason Garrett done and kept his job. So what the hell is all of this? There's a lot of people out there that have an incredible level of affection and swear by the niceness, the nice personality that Jason Garrett has. They don't talk about his credential. They talk about what a great guy he is.
Stephen A.,
that's a fact.
And you're 100% right. And what you just said is poignant. That's why we can only talk about this in the context of Jerry Jones not making the decision to get rid of him. My point to both of you is we've already had a discussion about how deficient Jason Garrett is as a head coach. My question to both of y'all, Max, and I'm going to get this to you because Stephen A. just finished talking. What are we waiting on? What singular person are we waiting on to make a move in the Dallas Cowboys organization?
Right, Jerry.
That's it.
But hold on, but Marcus, this is what I don't understand. He doesn't have to sit in the meeting with Jason Garrett anymore, right? So, there's no motivation there to go at Jerry Jones. And to Stephen A., just to stick up for Jason Garrett, who's a dead man walking, why would Troy Aikman shoot his shot at Jerry now when to defend a guy where it's not going to make a difference. See, what I'm saying is, I think Troy Aikman does have aspirations to be in a front office. I think ideally he'd like it to be the Cowboys. I imagine, this is not based on it, I'm not reporting anything, I just know the way the world works. Right. You know, I imagine probably put out feelers, try to see, and probably realized I can't get the job there and is mad about it.
Let me respond to that.
Be my guess.
I don't believe that for 1 second, because I believe that the job that he's doing is considerably less stressful. Number two, it definitely pays more.
Aikman's doing great.
Number three, this brother, Troy Aikman, is elite. Mm-hmm. Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, I mean, don't get me wrong, Tony Romo and Jim Nance, phenomenal as well. But Troy Aikman and Joe Buck are the A team in the National Football League. There's no reason to believe that he will want the Cowboys job. I don't believe that.
Answer the question. To reiterate what Marcus is saying, the reason why now is because the Cowboys are reeling. They've lost 4 or 5. We're hearing that Garrett will potentially get fired. And he's being asked about this. It's not like they're on their way to a Super Bowl right now and it's coming out of nowhere.
He's asked
based on the circumstances.
He's asked point blank. But see, this is what I mean, guys. Based on what Molly said, what you're saying, Marcus, Stephen A., he's asked point blank, would you want to be a front office job with the Dallas Cowboys, a GM? Are you kidding? Who wouldn't want, especially a great Dallas Cowboys Hall of Fame?
He told you why he wouldn't want it, because he'd be hamstrung.
You can't put that on Troy Aikman.
Guns blazing.
But you can't put that on Troy Aikman, Max. You don't know what Troy Aikman wants to do. You don't know if Troy Aikman wants to be in the front office. Stephen A. and I are making the point that Troy Aikman may love the job that he's doing, regardless of that. If you feel that way, great. But my point is, in that particular interview, and by the way, if we look back through history, through track record, Troy Aikman has been critical of the Cowboys a long time. Mm-hmm. He's actually been critical of this football team, the way it's been managed, what guys should be doing. I think he had some statements about Dak not being paid as well. But clearly, if you're talking about facilitating relationships, we all are in a business where we want to facilitate relationships, have good relationships with our bosses, good relationships with people that we dealt with, because those bridges may need to be crossed again. Well, but my point is, and how we started this conversation, Jason Garrett's not saying anything no one else has ever said.
Right. Yeah. I would say this, Marcus. If here's another option that we just didn't. Molly touched on it, but it may just be he's asked point blank, and after 24 years of no Super Bowl, he, like a lot of people, have just had enough.
Yeah. He's just being honest.
Yep.
And listen, the Cowboys have plenty to worry about. They're tied now with the Eagles. I know they have the tiebreaker. The Rams come to town. The Rams just coming off a big win over the Seahawks. So they got to be focused on that if they're trying to be in the playoffs here. Marcus, good to see you as always. Talk soon.
As always. Peace.
Still to come, Joel Embiid helped the 76ers to another win last night. So why are Barkley and Shaq telling him it ain't good enough? Plus, Le'Veon Bell explained his night of